and welcome to this episode of the Self Improvement Project. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a good week. And today's episode, I'm going to share with you a theme that I've touched on before, and I'm simply wanting to go a wee bit deeper into it based on my own experience, how my thoughts have evolved over time, and hope it can serve some use to you during what has been one of the most unique times in a generation during the pandemic and during COVID and things like that. So this episode is called Why Are You in Such a Rush? And these thoughts, this topic comes from times in my own life where I've maybe felt overwhelmed by how busy things are, but also from my own reading and awareness of topics and concepts that have contributed to this idea of society encouraging us to be as busy as we possibly can, and that almost being like a badge of honor in these times. Don't get me wrong, there can be something quite exhilarating by being busy, especially when you're working on something that's important to you and you're really passionate about. But in all cases, and to open awareness for you, slowing down can be one of the most magical things we can do. So one of my first episodes in doing this podcast for the Self Improvement Project was about slowing down in a fast moving world. If you want to go back and listen to it, I think I might actually, just to see the difference between then and now. But today, as I mentioned, I want to go a bit deeper. Going slow, slowing down is not about going against the grain. It's not a revolution against a fast world. It's about embracing how you should be living, and with unconditional positive regard, i.e., not caring what anybody thinks and being completely 100% comfortable with that. No wonder we are unfulfilled when every task that we complete in our own lives, whether that's in our personal lives or in our jobs, is treated as a minimum expectation. It's another tick with a task completed. And your stamina is admirable. You manage to somehow mentally force yourself up to get up every morning at the crack of dawn with an alarm to ensure that you can pay the bills and put food on the table. That is completely 100% admirable. But when does it stop? This was one of the biggest questions for me in my life when I was doing this. When does it stop? Is it going to be when it's too late? When I'm in my 50s and I want to go and relive my life? Or is it going to be a breakdown where I have a crisis and I just need to start again? Who are you really doing this for? Because fulfillment inside can only come from what we are passionate about and when we have full ownership of what we do. And this comes through identity, who we are. Let me give you an example. Gold medal Olympians frequently describe this overwhelming and unbearable emptiness once they have achieved their goal of a medal. In some regard, the longer they go without a medal, it almost keeps them focused and busy as they're striving towards that goal. I like to call this what's next syndrome. Constantly looking for that next thing because this current moment isn't good enough. We keep our minds busy and distracted from the fact that we're running away from taking full responsibility and full ownership for who we are. We are letting other people control our life. We are letting external achievements control who we are. Should it not be the other way around? This comes from the fact that we don't know and we don't give ourselves the trust or the time to figure out who we are, to figure out what we want, to figure out what success is to us. How do we define success? To go back to my previous example, I will only be deemed a success if I win a gold medal. From one perspective, amazing respect for the rest of your life. No one can take that gold medal away from you. But on the other hand, what a tragic way to live your life and base your own sense of worth upon that. Or is success having an amazing relationship? Is success making sure that you have a job that you turn up to every day, regardless of what the pay is, knowing that it completely sets you alight? Or is success just the peace of mind that I'm eating healthily and I'm exercising regularly? And this is the disparity around the definition of success that we maybe need to look at and understand, as well as give ourselves time to figure out what that really is. So, to build upon this, I want to share some thoughts that you can use as a framework to help you embrace this longer term thinking, this living slowly and molding your identity, molding who you are. Picture it as an artist or a sculptor who has to chisel their masterpiece from an unformed stone or piece of rock. If you think about that long-term process, that is ultimately how we should live. We get so caught up in the fact that people just see the finished piece in the museum. So some of these thoughts that you can use as a framework, I've got 3 that I want to share with you. These will provoke your thought. These should inspire you to take action and give you that perspective and awareness that each and every day, this is how I should live my life. Consistency over intensity. that busyness that I was talking about, that society encourages us to do, intensity, short term, fantastic, gives us that credibility from those in our circle and around us, in our life and in our world. Consistency is boring, it's unattractive, it isn't exciting. But maybe for those that are living in the fast lane, is consistency what they maybe desire? The last 8 months of my life have been the most fulfilling thus far due to the consistency that I have prioritized over intensity. Intensity has the tendency to ruin long-term progress, long-term thinking. So, even if you have goals at the moment, which you most likely will, and anything that you want to achieve, pick one thing in your life that you maybe want to be a bit more consistent on and prioritize that from a consistency perspective. The next thing I want to share with you is meaning over results. Results give us that little ping of dopamine before we move on to the next thing. We move into that element of emptiness that I touched on earlier when we achieve something. Meaning is who we are. It's who we're wanting to become. It's that wholeheartedly feeling of or fullness of fulfillment. Meaning makes us glow inside. It radiates out of us. We sometimes don't notice it when we're in the midst of what we're doing because it's who we are. And finding this each and every day can lead to a very wholesome life. So everything you look for, yes, there's going to be times that you need results, but look for the meaning in what you do. How does this fit with your identity and who you are, who you want to be, and who you're working to become? And that leads me nicely into my last point, in the sense of we want to look at our identity over our achievements. So we place that importance on who we are in here rather than the achievements that we are on the face of things to the rest of the world. In essence, there's a element of the unknown to the rest of the world if we focus on identity. They want to know what's in here, but they never will know what's in there because you've been working on it so much for that internal meaning, that internal purpose. And achievement is just what people see. It's very difficult to portray the substance of achievement when it all comes from the identity of who you want to become. This touches nicely on the sense of accepting failure as being part of you working towards who you want to become. We learn some of our harshest lessons. We grow way more than when we have success, when we go through failure. But persistence and resilience are some of the strongest human traits. And by allowing that to become part of your identity, show that strong will to become who you want to be, that only matters to you. People may envy how strong-willed you are, but they'll never know because all they see is that achievement, that external side of things. So that strength comes from within. And if you ever see someone that has worked really quickly and intensely for those outcomes and results, and they show off those achievements, it's usually a house of cards. So, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you so much for listening, as always. I cannot put into words and describe how much fulfillment it gives me to know that people listen and take time out of their own day to listen to me talk about my thoughts and my ideas. So please don't underestimate how much I value you listening to this. And I hope it's added a tiny wee bit of value to your life today. So thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys all next time. Cheers.